Today on Feral America, UAPs, UFOs, and otherworldly things. I'm Stevie,
I'm M.
and this is Feral America.
Yeah, so Stevie, have you ever had an encounter with a UFO?
I have had two, actually. How about you?
I've had two.
Two, too. Tell me about yours.
Okay. So, a couple of years ago, I had some friends visiting from New York. We were out in the backyard, had the fire pit going. It was like July, maybe 10 p.m., clear skies. And I just felt like I should look up. I mean, we were engaged in conversation, so I wasn't really, like looking up. And I just felt like I should look up. And there was this thing. I mean, it was high up, but it was like a zigzag light. It was not on a track, like, a straight line. It was not plane. I mean, it was very high up. And the next day I told some other friends about it. They were like, oh, that had to be, the SpaceX satellite or whatever. I'm like, doing this? Come on. It wasn't a comet.
Right?
So
What
so
color was it?
it was like a golden whitish kind of, there were no discernible lights or anything. It was very high up, but its movement was erratic. It was erratic.
And did your friends see it too?
No, they didn't. Because by the time I said, first I was like, what is that in my head? And by the time I said, look at that, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. So that
It
that
didn't
was
want to be seen.
experience. No, I don't think it did want to be seen. Except by me, right? So, and the second experience was when the whole drone thing was happening toward the end of
Mm-hmm.
2024. Was that 2024? Yeah.
Yeah.
And had my family in the car, and we were in our SUV, and we were driving on a very dark country road to get home. And I was like, you see it? Do you see that? And they were like, what? And I had this angle. It was this massive, it had to be 15 feet by 10 feet. Black object. This had lights, had some red lights around the bottom. It was not a drone, but it was happening when the whole drone thing was happening. It was about 30
Mhm.
feet up from the car, from the top of the car, go another 30 feet. That's how high it
This was
was.
really low.
So my mom saw it, but my son didn't see it. I don't know what he was doing. He's probably playing video games. And my wife was driving and she didn't see it. So
What did your mom say about it?
it's like, what is that? She's squinting. She's in her 80s. She's like, what is that? I'm like, I think it's one of those drones. So we get home, we go on the neighborhood Facebook page, and there's two parts to my neighborhood, north side and south side. And people on the south side, which is where that country road had been, not in my neighborhood, but near it, had been posting about the drones. Do you see them? Oh my God, there's so many. So what was that? That was not like a regular sport drone that kids get at the store. It was bigger than the SUV that we were in. So
Right.
that was crazy. That was crazy.
So yours have both been fairly recently.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Mine, my experiences are both a little bit older. My first one, I was on a road trip I had just met my birth mom, and she invited me on a road trip with her and her family to her husband's family reunion out in North Dakota. We lived in Washington at the time, so that was quite a trip, driving halfway across the country. We were in the Badlands of South Dakota. The rest of the family was in the tent trailer, and my birth mom and I were out just looking at the night sky because there's no lights out there. So there's no light pollution. It is just stars for days. And we're looking up, and at the same time, we both go, "Oh my God!" There were two red orbs that were like circling each other, doing this little kind of like almost dance type thing. And they joined together, and then three red orbs shot off in completely different directions and disappeared. And both of us saw this, and we were both just like, "Oh my God, it's UFOs!" Like immediately, that was our instant thing. We were like, "We just had a sighting!" And so we like ran in to go tell the rest of the family, and same thing as what happened to you. By the time we got in to tell them and they came outside, they were gone. And we stayed out for like another hour, just kind of like, come back, trying to summon them back. But I guess I don't have the skills that some other people have when it comes to summoning UFOs.
Everyone's going to think you're absolutely nuts.
Well, I thought I was absolutely nuts.
Until he says he saw UFOs. Over the years, 1,500 of them.
Can we make it 1,501 today? What do you think?
I'll try it.
He says the voice in his head told him to go public now. So we took him up on his offer, and we scanned the skies. Nothing but a few clouds. When the prophet started praying for a sighting, I wasn't exactly convinced.
I pray, oh Yahweh, that you send a sighting so that they know that I am not mentally ill. I am not a false prophet, like those who seek to kill me say I am.
I see something straight up.
Oh, brother, look at it. There it is.
You can barely see it, a white speck. Then another sighting.
There it is. I got it.
Photojournalist Jonathan Hawkins locks in on it. Let's take a closer look here. It's an orange sphere that appeared out of nowhere. I call the boss with an unexpected change in my story.
I can see it clear as day. In fact, it's bright.
I can't believe this.
It's moving pretty fast.
It's going to Nellis Air Force Base. It wants to be seen.
We called Nellis to see what these things might be. Guess what? They didn't call us back.
And then it was 2007, because I remember it was the summer that I was in grad school. I was in my backyard in North Bend, Washington, which is like in the foothills of the mountains. And my backyard had a river that ran through it. So I was just out in the backyard enjoying the river. And kind of like you said, I had this like feeling that I should look up. And I mean, I was literally just out enjoying the river. And I look up, and it's the middle of the day. And there is this silver sphere, probably about the size of a beach ball, a little bit larger. And it was, I'd say, probably 50 yards to 75 yards in the air, not quite as far away as a full football field. And it was just hovering there silently. And as soon as I looked up at it, it kind of like went and shifted and just kind of jiggled a little bit. I guess that's the best way I could describe it. And then just shot straight up in the air and was gone. I never had any bad feelings about these. They were always very positive, very like almost spiritual feelings that I had.
Me too.
So yeah, so those were my experiences. Nobody else was around for that sphere one. But at that point, I had never heard of like spheres as, I had only heard of like UFOs, right? Like the typical disc shape, the old flying saucer, the Roswell crash kind of thing. I didn't know what it was, the sphere. The red orbs were instantly, I was like, that's a UAP. We didn't have that language then, but I knew that that's what that was. This sphere thing, like, I realized later, like years later, when I think I saw the Buga Sphere, the one that they found in Colombia, I believe, where the people had been like filming this thing flying around the town, and it sounded exactly like the one I saw. The one I saw had some kind of markings on it. It was too far away to see what the markings were, but there was, some kind of markings on it. But the Buga Sphere, it ended up, I think it hit a power line and crashed, and a guy that had been following it went and got it. And he had a relative who was a scientist in Mexico, and he ended up bringing this to him. And from the time that they retrieved it to like after they tried to do some tests on it, it had gained a ton of weight. So at first it was fairly light, and then it had gained weight, which they think is because it had lost its anti-gravity properties.
Mm-hmm. That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
So when you were a kid, did you have an interest in UFOs, like an affinity, or not really?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, wondered if something else was out there. Even from a really young age, I thought it was kind of very egocentric of humans to think that we're the only intelligent life out there, knowing how big our universe is. So for me, it was more just kind of like a matter of numbers and mathematics and statistics that like it just doesn't make sense that we're the only thing out there. My favorite show when I was in 3rd grade was V.
Me too.
The visitors arrived in 50 gigantic motherships, which stunned the world with their monumental size and power.
We have come in peace because we need your help. And in return, we will gladly share with you all the fruits of our knowledge.
Talk about an offer we can't refuse, huh?
And I watched it recently, and I was like, oh my God, this is really violent. Like, that's what I was watching in 3rd grade.
Good parenting, Mom.
Right? Well, let's just eat a mouse. Yeah, what about you? Were you interested in this as a kid?
Always. Like, as long as I can remember. It more than an interest, though, almost like it's like a kinship kind of thing. Like always looking and searching, like they were friends, my whole life. So when I had those 2 experiences, I was really excited. Never any fear, always very hopeful that I would see one and be able to communicate. When I saw Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I think maybe that was 7th grade, 6th grade, something like that. I was like, oh, okay, this is so familiar. Why is this so familiar? But it wasn't until probably during that 3-year period when we were all locked up at home and I started reading about Starseeds, Dolores Cannon's book, The 3 Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth, that like things started to make a little more sense. So there's this concept, Starseeds, and basically it says some individuals, their souls are from other places, other planets, other galaxies, and they incarnate here because there's work that needs to be done on Earth, and they're helping to elevate the consciousness of the planet. So I kind of feel like maybe that's me, because I have like this almost like a detachment from the 3D. Like I just think so much of this is stupid, but always
it's the Matrix.
Like, right, acknowledging it as a matrix, but from a very young age, like being in Catholic school and the nuns saying stuff and me being like, oh my God, that's such bullshit. It's so stupid, but the other kids were like, oh, if I do this and it's a sin. And if I die with that sin on my soul, I'm going right to hell. And I'd be like, that's stupid,
Right?
So I was kind of like the rogue kid in Catholic school, but just acknowledging it is all a lot of BS, and I've always been like on the fringe, and not just as a gay woman, right, marginalized that way, but I'm always involved in like causes before they become a cause, like the forefront, like pushing, and then it becomes a thing. And that pattern has happened over and over and over again. I don't have explanation for that. Like, how do I know this is going to be a thing? And then I start pushing it and then it is a thing, right?
And
So,
I came across the starseed concept probably about 2 years ago,
mhm.
and resonated with it instantly. Because I've always, and we kind of have talked about this in the past offline. I've had a bit of a connection with the psychic world.
Mhm.
And when I was a kid, I actually had a lot of precognitive dreams, but they followed a pattern. The first time I was probably 4, and I had the same dream for like a week in a row. And um, it was a car crash that happened below my house. And it was this red sports car, and this woman in this like gorgeous green gown gets out, and her hair is all done up, all fancy. Um, and I just kept seeing this car crash happen. And then I stopped having that dream. And then the next day I remember I was watching the Muppets. And I got up in the middle of the show and went up to my room, and my mom's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I have to go see something." And I got up and I climbed up on my bed and I looked out the window, and I watched that exact car crash happen right below my house. Um, and so I was like, that was really weird. Like, I dreamt about that. And then I had the same thing happen with this, and it always followed the same patterns. I would have the dream for 6 nights in a row. The seventh night I wouldn't have it, and then the next day it would happen. It happened. It was all in that house, and it was all kind of related with the same area. So there was a house that was like down below ours, and then a main street. And so that main street was where that crash had happened. The second one I had was about the puppy that lived in that house down below us getting hit by a car on that same street. Had it for 6 nights, didn't have it. The next day, it happened. And then about probably a year after that, I had another dream about the lady who lived in that house, where I dreamt my mom and I were out on the garden, which was on the side of our house, and that she came running up, and her head was red. Um, and that was as much as I got in the dream. And so again, 6 nights I had it, seventh night I didn't. The next day, my mom and I are out working in the garden, and we hear a scream, and our neighbor comes running up, and her head had been split open because her boyfriend had hit her over the head with a baseball bat.
Wow.
Um, that was the one where I recognized the pattern, where I was like, I've had this happen before. It's always this 6 nights, and then seven, it doesn't happen. The 7 night, I don't have it, then it happens. And they're all bad things. And so I kind of was like, I don't want to be able to do this anymore. And I kind of willed myself to stop. Now that I recognize, okay, this was the universe letting me know that I can help prevent things from happening, I'm asking for that gift back. I haven't gotten it in that same way, but I do get glimpses, and it's usually just a couple seconds ahead of time. And it has saved me from 2 head-on collisions. I was driving with my friend around this like corner in California on like a curvy highway, a part of Highway 1. And I just knew as we were coming around this corner that the guy that was coming the other way was not going to make the turn. And so as we were coming around the corner, I took the turn really wide. My friend's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Watch him." And he came straight through right behind. If I would have taken a normal curve, he would have hit us head on. So I get these little glimpses now, and it's like it's just enough to like save me. But I really want to have that gift back to be able to like help out more in the world.
I'm very, very psychic too. When I was a kid, I could astral travel like on command, and my mom didn't believe me until one day she caught me doing it. Like I was on the couch, but I wasn't like there. Like my
Mm-hmm.
consciousness was out of my body. And then when I came back, there was hell to pay for doing it. She was really mad. She was like, "What is that?" I
Oh,
mean,
did she think it was like demonic or something?
no, just scared that I wouldn't be able to come back. So my mom can
Mm.
see events, and she always knows when someone has passed away because they come to her immediately and tell her. So she's very psychic as well, and I have different things I can do and different abilities. And also, when I was a kid, I had this one. I can still do it, but I'm not as quick as I was when I was a kid. I would be able to say the words someone else was saying as they're saying them, like without delay, like saying the same exact thing, like know what you were going to say, like a second before you say it and say it with you. And I can do it. I've been practicing lately because I mentioned to you like a couple of weeks ago, I could do this when I was younger.
Hmm.
I've been practicing and I can do it fantastic in my head, but there's just still a slight delay with it coming out of my mouth. I'm gonna perfect it. I'm gonna get back to it, and then I'll do it. I'll do it for you. We'll do it on a podcast one day. But
Do
I
you
will
feel
get
like you have
visited
that connection more with people that you're close to, or is it with anybody?
anybody. It could be a television
Wow.
show, and I can do it, and I can do each character, and I can do it. And I used to be able to do it verbally. Now it's in my head, but there's still that little second delay. So that if I did it now, you'd be like, oh, you said it right after. It's almost
Uh-huh.
exact timing, but somebody would still be able to say that to me, even though I know I'm not. I'm doing it with you. But so there's that. And also, like communicating with the other side, I get messages, I get information, I get visits, and it's not. So I've only been scared a couple times in my life with things like that happening. But I feel like people who have a kinship with UFOs, who are accepting, usually have some other gift that's not explainable, you know. And I think
I wonder
we
if
have
it's that if it is that connection with the greater universe, um, for lack of a better word or phrase, if that is what allows us to be open enough to see UAPs.
right. So the veils, to me, I think the veil is very thin between dimensions, and I think we live in that blurry space. People like you and I, we live in that blurry space. Like we're here, but we're
Hmm.
not all here. Part of me, part of my consciousness is there, and that's why we have these abilities. That's just my theory.
Did you ever get a chance to listen to the podcast? Oh, it's going to go out of my head. The telepathy tapes?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me tell you about this because it goes in with this whole kind of like collective consciousness type thing. So there's a journalist who worked with some scientists, some like brain researchers and psychologists, and they did some work with nonverbal autistic, some children, some adults, and they worked with them on a system called spelling. And it's basically like a giant iPad kind of thing with letters so they can spell out their their words that they can't say out of their mouth. Um, and so some of the people who've been the people who have been exposed to the spelling system get really good at it, and they can really start to communicate quite clearly with the people around them. And so they started talking to some of these spellers, as they call them, and they noticed that a lot of these nonverbal autistic people are talking about this place called the Hill, and they're like, oh, I go up to the Hill, and they're like, what's the Hill? And they're like, oh, that's where we learn everything and where we share our knowledge. And they said like one of the people, one of the spellers was like, I want to meet, and then they said a name, and the mom was like, who is that? And he's like, well, I met him on the hill, but he lives in Ohio, and and like gives all the information about where this person lives. And so the mom does some research, finds this kid, reaches out to this kid's mom, and she's like, oh my God, he's been talking about your son for months, and they learn this stuff from each other. So it's like this realm in the collective consciousness where they go and gather, they share information, and this is how a lot of nonverbal autistics that are like savants gain their knowledge.
So when you have many, many, many people saying the same exact thing, right? In this instance, it's the hill. I think we have to give some credence to that. People who have never met in person say the same exact thing. And that's actually what, if you read the works of Dolores Cannon, I've got her book right here. May she rest in peace. She interviewed 45,000 people. She did QHHT hypnosis with them. That's quantum healing hypnosis therapy over decades. And the 45,000 plus people that she did this hypnosis technique for all said the same thing under hypnosis. And specifically, this is what they were predicting for this point in time for humanity. Global systems will experience turmoil. Nature will retaliate. Humanity will face a massive awakening. And those who choose to will enter a new earth without fear. And if you read her book, she says that the earth will be splitting into two earths, and one will remain in the 3D, and one will ascend to the 5D. And the 5D is where none of this BS matters. There's no poverty, there's no starvation, there's no pain. None of these concepts that we live with now, especially on a constant basis, daily basis. So I want to go to the 5D. I don't know about you. I'm ready to go. My bags are packed. I'm ready to go and have some fun in the 5D.
So, in the middle of recording our podcast about UAPs, cosmic connections, otherworldly things, my computer completely glitched out. It is doing this. It's saying that I have an unstable internet connection, yet I have full connection. I do have a low battery, but it's plugged in. I believe that there is some force in this universe that does not want us talking about this.